As the brother said, I'd like to welcome you to the Feast of Tabernacles. First and foremost, we always like to give praise and honor to the God of Israel, of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When I praise Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we praise the God of them. Amen. Yes, sir. Tonight is the Feast of Tabernacles. That's the title. And also it can be the Feast of Ingathering. Ingathering. And if you don't understand God's holy days, you might not have a grasp on this Bible. Each one of these days pointing toward God's plan. God's plan for this earth and also God's plan for the future. And people don't understand. I was talking to Jehovah's Witness today and asking him about, I understand y'all celebrate the Passover, or they say the memorial. So we sitting up there talking. I said, on the 14th day, brother, we supposed to take the bread and the wine, right? He said, yeah, we take the bread and the wine. And then he says, I said, what about the 15th day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread? Oh, brother, see, you just got to understand, you know, that Jesus, when he came, he kind of did away with all that. I said, brother, in one particular verse, in Leviticus chapter 23, y'all reading that verse, and y'all taking part of the Passover, why not the other feasts?
That's right.
Why not the other feasts? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, each one of these feasts, just like the Passover, when we take that bread and wine, we understand what Jesus did. He died on the cross first and foremost, and also when our ancestors was in Egypt at the time, God passed over them sins because they put blood upon their doors. And we understand what he did. The same thing when he did when he died on the cross. His blood was sufficient for all. So if you're not taking part of the Passover, how you going to say you're a Christian? How you going to say you're a believer? Then we did the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is we purging out all leaven. From that day we purge out all bread that have yeast in it. That's symbolic of purging out the sin. Each one of these feast days pointing toward something that God's going to do in the future or he already done and fulfilled. So we got to understand, like tonight, this feast is talking about the tabernacle. Also, we're talking about the tabernacle right here, our body. Our body is a tabernacle.
That's right. He
said we're gonna put off this old tabernacle and put on a spiritual tabernacle. That's when we're going to become immortals. We're going to become gods. And also, he said he's going to bring the tabernacle that's in heaven down to the earth.
Yes.
So we understand what God's plan is, and we having these feasts to let God know, let me in. I know what you want me to do. We're not just coming together on this Feast of Tabernacle just because we want to eat. That is not what we come together for. We come together for some understanding with the spiritual food. That's the most important. That's the main course.
Exactly.
Main course. We're not doing stuff just because we see it in the Bible and we just tell you what to do. We're doing stuff because we understand. At least I understand. Whatever I understand, I'm going to make sure y'all understand. So we're going to start in Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus chapter 23. And we're going to get into these Jesus feasts. And you got a lot of people out here just think this is for the Jews. And you're going to find out it's not for the Jews. Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 1. Man, if you ain't celebrating these feasts, you ain't celebrating nothing. You ain't celebrating nothing. Your work, your labor is in vain. Vain meaning that it's not going to help you. It's not. It's not going to help you get in. Understand. Don't just go along with emotion. Try to get the understanding of this. Don't just go along with the emotion because you're only going to just hurt yourself. It's going to take some time. Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 1. Go ahead, brother.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
So we understand. Are these the Jews' feasts? No. Whose feasts are they?
The Lord.
The Lord. Jesus. His feast. So don't sit up here and let somebody play word games with you and tell you these are for the Jews or the people over there in Israel. No, he said these are the Lord's feasts. And we're going to find out they were for everybody. So we got to take upon ourselves to make sure that we must do these in their season. A holy convocation, what we have right now, our church day, this is also a Sabbath. Sabbath. Jump down to verse 4.
These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
You got to proclaim this in the right season. The season that we started in the 14th day of the first month, that's when we take Passover. And then we count. Then we take 7 Sabbaths, and then we take the 14th day we have Passover, then we take the 15th day, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We do that 7 days. Then we count 7 Sabbaths, and then we come up with Pentecost. Then with Pentecost, we got blowing the trumpets. Then we just did atonement. Now we're in the Feast of Tabernacles. Everything is appointed in its time, and each one of these feasts means something to God. Very, very, very important. Means something to him. So we got to make sure we understand what he's talking about. Jump down to verse 33, brother. Verse 33. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
So I know what you're saying right now. Most people going off the Gregorian calendar saying this is the 10th day of the month. Jeff, no, we go out behind the calendar in the Bible, which is by the lunar calendar, which is by the moon. We find out when it's that first full moon in the spring, we start counting 14 days. And then we get our count and when we're supposed to be here. This is the 7th month according to God's calendar. So understand how we operate. We're not going off the Gregorian calendar, which is the Romans giving you. We're going off the lunar calendar, and we're also going off God's calendar. I just say lunar because I want you to understand the moon. It's about the moon. And that's how we get our count. Go ahead. So this is the 15th day of the 7th month. Go ahead.
Verse 35. On the first day shall be an holy convocation.
Yes, sir.
Ye shall do no servile work therein.
This is the first day. Have a holy convocation, you shall not do no servile work therein. That means that you're not supposed to be working on your job on that day. I'm just telling you what the book says. These are not my instructions, this is what he tells you. You're supposed to be out and observing this day. Whole 24 hours from this evening to next evening. That's what you're supposed to do. Go ahead, bro.
7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein.
All these feasts are solemn assemblies. Coming together, they're assemblies that you assemble yourself together. And also, we don't do the animal sacrifices with fire because what? Jesus died on the cross for that. We don't have to do animal sacrifices no more. And he says, he talks about the 8th day. We're going to get to that on the next Thursday when we have the 8th day, the last day of this Feast of Tabernacles. So we understand that. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 16 and get some clarification on, some more clarification and see who's supposed to be here on this feast. Is it supposed to be here for the Jews, or are we supposed to be here for everybody? Everybody's supposed to be here. Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 16. And also you're going to understand that these feasts, this Feast of Tabernacles, have a different name. Also, it's sometimes called the Feast of Ingathering. Ingathering. And we got to understand that God is going to gather his people when he comes back. Jesus is going to gather his people. Verse 16, go ahead, bro.
3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose.
Yes, sir.
In the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and in the Feast of Weeks, and in the Feast of Tabernacles, and they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
You shall not appear before the Lord empty. You must bring something empty. That's a commandment. And also he says the Feast of Weeks. That's just telling you about this is Pentecost. That's another name for it. You're going to see different names. You just got to have a little understanding and know what he's talking about. And he said not appear empty. Go ahead, bro.
Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessings of the Lord thy God, which he has given thee.
Every man should give as he able. Whatever you can bring, whatever you can do, just give it. That's how it's supposed to be. And that's what they did. They brought stuff and put it together and they had God's feet. They used to harvest the crops back then and bring it in. And they ain't talking about bringing money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people like to say, don't show up here without no money. Now, if you want to get some money to help put off the feast, but I'm not asking one, I just say bring something. Let's go to Exodus chapter 23. Exodus chapter 23, verse 14. Let's get these different names right, because if you read this Bible, you're going to see different names for these feasts. So you won't be confused when you go in the New Testament and the Old Testament. Exodus chapter 23, and we're going to start with verse 14. Go ahead and get it.
3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year.
Yes, sir.
Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
Yes, sir.
Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee.
Yes, sir.
In the time appointed of the month Abib.
Amen. Go ahead.
For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
So you understand that in the month of April, that's the first year, that's the first month of the year, not January, as in the springtime, when spring starts. That's when we take the 14th day of the first month, that's when the new year starts. Abib, meaning that green ears of corn growing back. Not in the dead of winter where everything dead. That's what the Romans give you. They give you to celebrate their God, which is the God, I forgot, the God of Janus, the God of 2 faces, the opening and closing of doors. There's so much evil stuff that these folks go by. And the people that actually celebrate the New Year don't really understand. They celebrate a different God. Well, you celebrate that. Well, we're going to touch on that around that time of the year. Go ahead, bro.
16. And the feast of harvest.
Yes, sir.
The first fruits of the labors which thou hast sown in the field. And the feast of ingathering.
Yes, sir.
Which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labor out of the field.
The Feast of Harvest, that's Pentecost. The Feast of Ingathering, that's the Feast of Tabernacles, the feast we got right now. When he gathering all the labors of the field. Understand, when God's showing you something, you can look at it being spiritual, and you can look at it being natural. And this time right here, this is natural. He ingathering crops in the field of the year to take a part of this feast. It's like when he comes back, he gonna bring us, whoever's on his team or doing his law, he gonna ingather him to him, bring him into him. And this is what we talking about, so we understand why we keeping this feast. We keeping this feast because I know God's plan. I know his plan. And you gonna know his plan when you in here. This is why we keeping this feast. Let's turn to Leviticus chapter 25. Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 1. This feast right here, like I said before, is all about God recovering his people. Recovering his people. This is what it's all about. Tabernacle. He's going to bring us back to him. Like I said before, your body is a tabernacle. He refers to that. We're going to hit on that in the New Testament. And he tells us about his tabernacle that he's going to bring to this earth. So it's more than just one meaning what he's saying. You just got to figure it out when you read it. Leviticus chapter 25, and we'll start at verse 1. Go ahead, brother.
And the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord.
Yes, sir. This is when the children of Israel came into the land of Canaan. He said, this land shall keep a Sabbath. Go ahead, bro.
6 years thou shalt sow thy field. 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof.
That means that they had to plant for 6 years. 6 years they had to plant on that ground, and then on that 7th year they're gonna do something. Go ahead.
But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field, nor prune thy vineyard. The
reason why I read this pointing toward the future. God gave this man 6,000 years to get it right. From day 1 all the way down to day 6. But that 7,000 year is going to be the time when he set the kingdom up on earth. And for 1,000 years, for 1,000 years, it's going to be peace. Peace upon this earth. So he telling this man when he comes to the land, plant for 6 days, and then plant for 6 years, and on the 7th year the land shall rest. He telling the same plan. He said for 6,000 years, y'all are going to try to find your way back to me. And at the end of that 6,000 year, on that 1,000 year, when Jesus set his kingdom upon the earth, it's going to be peace upon this earth. So you just got to plug this stuff in together and understand what he's saying. Jump down to verse 8. I'm going to tell you, now you're going to think I'm crazy, but we know from these scriptures when Jesus is coming back. We know from these scriptures when he's coming back. We don't know the year, but he's going to tell you right here. Verse 8, go ahead.
And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years. And the space of the 7th Sabbath of years shall be unto thee 49 years.
Yes, sir.
Then shall I call the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land.
You understand this day of atonement, they said, then shall you call the trumpet of Jubilee. That's another word for the last trump, the 7th trump. And he said, on the 10th day of the 7th month, the day of atonement shall ye make a trumpet sound. So we know when that last trumpet gonna sound, that's gonna be on the day of atonement. When he coming back, when he gonna sound. So he giving you the time, not giving you the date of the year, he just giving you the time when that last trumpet gonna blow, the trumpet of Jubilee. This is when he gonna make his coming back. We don't know the year, so don't try to get me to tell a lie. I'm just telling you what he said. That trumpet of Jubilee is synonymous with this last trump. Let's see what he's going to do when that trumpet of Jubilee blow. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. It's in there, man. It's in there. You just got to pull it out. I know these folks looking at me and say, that man went crazy. He telling us that Jesus going to come out on the day of atonement. That's what he said, then. In the 7th month. So it's critical for you to take part of these feasts. Because he said, if anyone violate my Sabbath, they should surely be put to death. So if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing on these Sabbath days, if he show up on that 10th day of the 7th month, he's going to put you to death. He's going to put me to death, and I'm not doing what I'm doing. These days pointing toward the future, man. Ain't one, man. We just got to understand. He ain't playing by this. We ain't doing it just because we here to fulfill how we want to eat. We here to understand the plan. Now let's see what he's going to do. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. And let's understand 24 and verse 29. And let's understand this trumpet of Jubilee. Go ahead, brother.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light.
Mm-hmm.
And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
This is what's going to happen when Jesus come back. When Jesus come back, all this got to be fulfilled. That time ain't even happened yet. He said the stars going to fall from heaven. The powers of heaven shall be shaken. The moon shall not give it light. We ain't never seen a day like that. That's a scary day. That's a very scary day. Go ahead, brother.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
Wait a minute. They told me Jesus gonna come back and get me before the tribulation period. What did it just say right here? He said immediately after the tribulation. Then, go down to verse 30, he said, and then shall the Son of Man appear, and all the tribe mourning. Why are they mourning? Because they're gonna see Jesus hit that sky, he gonna be doing something unnatural. He gonna be slicing and dicing and killing them. He coming after the tribulation period. After. But they're going to tell you in the church, we're going to be raptured out of here. What did it just say right here? Immediately after the tribulation, that's when Jesus comes. Well, we ain't got to worry. Here so many people. We ain't got to worry about that, brother. We just going to be raptured out of here. Jesus going to save us through this. Save us from this. You set yourself up for a lie. Verse 30 again, bro.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
Yes, sir.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
So you're going to see him coming with power and great glory. When are you going to do that? Go ahead.
And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
This is what he's going to do. That great trumpet, that is the trumpet of Jubilee, that's going to be sounded in the 10th day of the 7th month. This is synonymous with Jubilee. That 7th trumpet. This is what we talking about right here, or we just read over there in what we just came from, in Leviticus chapter 25. This is what's going to happen right here. Understand this. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 27. Let's understand more in detail about this trumpet. All this pointing toward tabernacle. All of it pointing toward tabernacle. When I first started understanding this, boy, a light bulb came on my head. One thing about God, he said,